Today, we're diving into a fascinating folktale about a man named Amin. His entire life gets turned upside down by a simple gift, a dozen eggs, and a choice that forces him to weigh friendship against greed.
So, can you really repay an act of kindness with gold? It's a huge question, right? And this story, from a little village called Salaria, gets right to the heart of it. You'll notice some Hindi text on our slides, which I think just adds to the authentic feel of this folktale. It's really all about what we owe each other, and how we measure the value of a simple good deed.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off with a really tough situation. We meet our main guy, Amin, a young, super hardworking fella, but he's facing a massive problem, a devastating drought.
I mean, imagine this. The fields are just dust. There's no work, no food, nothing. And you can just feel that sense of hopelessness crushing down on him with every single step he takes.
And that's when it hits him. He has this one single thought. If I stay here, I'm gonna wither away just like the crops. You know? That's what pushes him over the edge. He knows he has to go. He has to leave his entire world behind to find a new life somewhere. Anywhere.
So what do you do in a situation like that? He's got one last shot. He goes to his neighbor, his good friend, Dirar, who happens to be a poultry farmer. Dirar is Amin's last hope.
And Dirar, seeing how desperate his friend is, gives him what little he can spare, just 12 boiled eggs in a basket. Now, it doesn't sound like much, does it? But for Amin, this was everything. It was way more than just food. It was a powerful sign that someone cared. It was the fuel he needed to even begin his long journey.
And believe me, that small gesture was all it took. Amin takes those eggs, leaves Salaria, and just works. He takes any job he can get, and he saves every single coin. He is absolutely relentless.
And just look at how it pays off. I mean, this is incredible. The first year he buys a small plot of land. The next year he's got a flock of sheep. By year 3, he owns horses and cows. And just 7 years later, the guy's a wealthy man. He literally built a fortune from nothing but sheer determination.
Okay, so he made it, right? He should be happy. But here's the twist in the story, and it's a big one. All that money, all that success, it didn't bring him peace. In fact, it did the opposite. He just felt this emptiness, a deep longing for the one thing his money couldn't buy: home.
It's wild to think about, isn't it? He has everything he ever wanted, but he feels more alone than when he was starving. He's lost that connection to his community, to his roots, to himself.
And that's when he realizes, what is all this for? You know, this success is just a hollow victory. And that thought is so powerful, he sells almost everything he owns and decides to go back to Salaria.
But you know how these things go. The big, happy homecoming he was imagining? Yeah, that's not what happened. The villagers don't see the hard-working kid who left with nothing. They just see this rich guy roll into town, and immediately the suspicion starts. The whispers begin. So instead of celebrating him, they start questioning him. How did he get so rich? He must have done something shady. Why isn't he sharing his money? It's just amazing how quickly envy can poison the well, right? It totally twists the narrative of his hard work and turns it into something ugly.
And that poison, that envy, it spreads. And eventually it reaches the one person you'd never expect, his old friend, Dirar. And Dirar, swept up in all this gossip, confronts Amin with just an absolutely shocking demand.
He basically screams at Amin, "Those eggs weren't a gift, they were a business opportunity. I could have built a whole poultry empire with those eggs. You stole my future." I mean, can you believe that?
And this is where it gets truly wild. Dirar's claim, those 12 boiled eggs, could have become a poultry empire worth 500 gold coins. 500! Aman's view? They were a gift from a friend, a kindness he'd happily repay in kind. It's a perfect example of how greed can completely warp reality and try to rewrite the past.
So, of course, Amin says no. I mean, who wouldn't? So what does Dirar do? He takes him to court. He drags his old friend before the village judge over this completely outlandish claim. Now Amin's entire reputation is on the line.
So the day of the trial arrives. The whole village is there, but Amin is late. And when he finally shows up, the judge is furious. Amin's excuse? Sorry, I was busy planting boiled beans in my garden. I mean, can you imagine the judge's face? He's livid. But here's the genius of it.
Amin lets the judge scold him. "You fool, you can't grow plants from boiled beans?" And then Amin just calmly turns to the court and asks, "Oh, really? And since when do chickens hatch from boiled eggs?" Boom! Just like that, with one simple, brilliant question, he completely dismantles Durr's entire ridiculous argument for everyone to see.
And right there, that's the moment everything changes. You could hear a pin drop in that courtroom as everyone realizes what he just did. And that, of course, leads us to the final verdict. The case gets thrown out immediately, of course. Durrar just leaves in total shame. And the crowd, the same people who were whispering about Amin before, now they're cheering for him. They're amazed by his wisdom and his cleverness. And that's the real win here. It was never about the gold. It was about earning his place back. He proved that you don't buy your way into a community. You earn it with wisdom and integrity. And in that moment, for the first time, he finally, truly felt like he was home.
So, Amin's incredible story leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. He had nothing, then he had everything. But he only found true wealth when he used his mind, not his money, to find his way back to his people. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What is true wealth, really? Is it the stuff we own, or is it something else entirely, like wisdom, community, and just, peace of mind?